but you still keep losing money, this is exactly where it's happening. It is not your strategy or your entries, it's what you're doing wrong in between. And this is where a lot of traders get this wrong because I'm not here to call out any trades for you to take. I'm also not just going to sit here and take a whole bunch of random trades. I'm actually going to sit here and walk through how to think in real time using the execution loop. You can find the link and how to learn the system linked in the description box already. It's there. Most of this video is going to be me sitting and not trading. And I already know that even before I'm starting to watch the charts. I already know most of this video is going to be me not trading. And that is the point. Because let's look at actually what's happening right now. If we ask ourselves the simple question, what is the chart doing right now? What is price doing right now? As you can see, we are currently on QQQ. It is 10:54 May 1st, which means it's the first day of the month. So here at the top right, top left corner, you can see currently we're watching QQQ, and we are currently on also the 1 minute time frame. If we go to the 5 minute time frame, we can ask ourselves that same question. What is price doing right now? You know what we can do? So we can go up to the next time frame and ask ourselves that same question. What is price doing right now? So I want to bring your attention to this buy order that I had in. I'm going to cancel that because I bought that yesterday. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly pick between buy and sell. I think I'm just going to press buy, and I'm going to let that order run as we are watching and literally going through this execution loop and seeing how much money will be made. Now this is, as you can see here, is only one share. You can change this quantity and add more, of course, but this is just one here. And so that was $673.80. And we can add a take profit or a stop loss if we desire to, but I'm going to leave that for now and move this over so that this is not in the way. So, like I said before, actually before I say anything, let me add in my buy sell volume bars here at the bottom so that we can be able to watch the actual movement of the market in a bar format. So let's continue to ask ourselves that first question, right? We haven't moved off of this. What is price doing right now? Before you take any trade, that is the first question you ask yourself. Why is it the first question you ask yourself? Well, it's the first question you ask yourself because it's genuinely the only thing that matters. You only ever make money when the market is moving. So if you don't know which way it's moving, how can you capture the move? Seriously, think about that. How many times have you tried to make money, but you couldn't even specifically say what move is happening? You could be sitting right now and you could feel within your soul, hey, I feel like this chart, is to come back down. Let me actually move because, having the prices is very important to watch the price on the right side. So right now price is trading at 674. All right. Do you feel like price is going to continue to rise? Do you think it's moving fast? Do you think it's moving slow? Do you think it's going to slow down and go reverse? What do you think? And that's why we're going through the different time frames as well. Okay, on the 45 minute, which is what we're on now, right? I'm trying to show you multiple pieces of this chart while let's see if I can adjust it this way so I can have multiple pieces in the chart, right? So we're looking at the top here we have clicked the 45 minute button. What is price doing? And one of the best tips you can have when you're asking yourself this very first question is it doing the same thing on every time frame? When you click on the 1 minute chart, is the candle insinuating we're going to keep going up, right? You can use the color to try to insinuate, okay, the current color is red, which means price is going down compared to our previous close of the previous candle, which means that, hey, price is actually not going up right now. But we look at the 5 minute, it's telling a different story. This candle is actually green. Look at the 15 minute. That candle is Our current candle is actually green. Look at the 45-minute. The candle is green. Look at the 1 day. These are some huge green candles, and we're actually pushing above an all-time high here at 665. Was our previous high, and then we came back down. Right, so this is our previous high that we had, came back down, and over the past few days, we have exceeded the 665, right? So all that tells me is that price overall, the sentiment wants to be in a call sentiment, in a upward trend sentiment. But does that mean it's actually doing that right now? Absolutely not. Because guess what? Stocks have to go in different directions to move. So if I just told you that, the first question you're asking, what is price doing right now? What is price doing right now? What is price doing right now? That's the only question you should care about when you're looking to take a trade. If you haven't written that down, write that down. What is price doing right now? Right? Once you ask yourself that question, that doesn't actually mean that that is the sentiment, right? If there's an uptrend, just let me even give you an example right here. All right. We are literally in a uptrend. However, price went up and then it came down. It went up and then it came down. It went up and then it came down. Right? Does the fact that there was some downtrends in there, some down pieces in there, mean that it wasn't going up? No, it means that it's going up, but it means that there's always going to be opposite direction mixed in when you're looking at your direction. Same thing here. Price is coming down, but we still have green candles. Price still came up here, came down, came up here, and it might try to come back down again. All right. So, what's very important is understanding not only, okay, on the bigger time frame, we're seeing all of these candles are all of our current candles are green, right? That's literally what we're seeing if we look across time frames. However, when we look at what's happening right now, this very second, on a very short time frame, price is actually not trying to continue going up. So is entering in calls wrong right now? No. Entering for calls is not wrong, but it depends on what type of trader you want to be. And that's the next part we're going to talk about. Because again, if you can tell that it's going in an uptrend, but you can't tell the proper time to get in, you're still going to lose, even if you're not technically wrong. So once you identify what price is doing right now, you look across time frames. Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? Is it moving up? Is it moving down? Or is it doing nothing at all? Right? If we had came to the chart at 10:03, I'm looking at this black box down here at the bottom telling us it's 10:03 a.m. Friday, May 1st. If we had came and looked at the market at that time, we would have said, oh, price is doing absolutely nothing. That's what we would have said, right? From like 10 o'clock to 10:30. It was doing absolutely nothing, just moving in a straight line, right? But when I say it's doing nothing, that doesn't actually mean it's just doing nothing. Because if you actually look at it, right? Price moved up and then it moved down, then it moved up and moved down, moved up, then moved down, then it moved up, then it moves down. So it's still moving, but it's not real movement. You can't make money from that. You can't make money from that. So this is where most people lose money. They see that the market has some movement, but they actually don't know that there really is no movement. There is no trade right now. So if you're watching this video and you're like, whoa, this is me, this is what I've been doing, this is exactly how I've been trading, this is how I've been going about it, you know, I already broke this whole system down step by step in the free private training. It's linked in the description box. Watch that video once, and then these videos are going to make a lot more sense. I just created a playlist of the execution loop live sessions where you're seeing me running through this system, and it's proof in real time that the questions that you ask yourself before you get into the trades are so important, because you're not losing because you're just wrong. You're not losing just because you're wrong. You're losing because you trade when literally nothing is happening. So are you asking yourself, has the move already happened? Or am I trying to catch something before it starts? Right now, price really isn't doing anything. And this is where people start to say, "Oh, it's gonna move. Oh, it looks like it's going up. Oh, it looks like," and you tell yourself all these things, and then you start to enter. But guess what? You're entering early, and that is not a condition. It is a guess. So if you have to wait for your contracts to start to profit, then you're early. What I'm telling you is that if you enter into a trade, and once you enter, you literally are still waiting for it to get into profit, then that means that you're what? Are you late or you're early? Gonna give you like 30 seconds to answer that. Okay, about 15 more seconds. I really want you to think about it because this is really where all the money is made. 5 more seconds. Okay, if you have to wait for your contracts to get back in profit, you are too early. When you tell yourself, "Oh my gosh, I took that trade, but I feel like I was too early," and then you try to solve it by entering too late. But the real root of the problem is that you're willing to wait for your contracts to get into profit after you've entered. I don't tolerate that. I am not entering any trade that is not profitable on the enter. Why would I enter into a trade and then hope that it does something while my money is on the risk, while my account is at risk, while my contracts are at risk? I'm not doing that. I enter into a trade when I know it's going to profit. That's the whole point of me being here in the market and sitting here and watching. I am here to capitalize. I'm not here to sit and guess and hope if it does what it feels like it wants to do. I don't know where that even makes sense. I would not be doing that. Okay. So I just want to be very clear. I do not enter into any trades in which I have to wait to get into profit because I'm not concerned with trying to capture every piece of a move, and I'm not concerned with trying to catch the very end of every single move. I understand that I only make money for one reason. I'll give you 5 seconds to tell me. Everybody should be able to tell me what is the reason you make money. You only make money when the market moves, when it has a real movement. So if I know that, then why would I not just wait for the real movement? And this is the biggest problem because you can ask yourself the simple question, is the stock moving? Or am I just waiting for it to start? Or am I chasing it? Or am I trying to guess where it might go? You don't have to guess. You can just wait for a price to literally do something and then capitalize on what it does and then mind your business when it's doing nothing. You think that the stock market just printing candles means that it's moving. It's not moving. Well, let's go to the 5 minute, right? Once you look at charts so much, you'll be able to say, wow, even when I look at the 1 minute, I can tell this is trash on a higher time frame. Look at this. What has price really done? What levels has it built? And the biggest thing right now is that we are at an all-time high. So we do have irregular price movement where price is trying to find where it wants to go. Price is trying to find its new support and resistance, right? We found a resistance today at 675. We're trying to find a support. It's gonna, like, we found some basic support here, 672, but it hasn't really established itself that well. We've never been this high in the market prior to literally 2 hours ago or an hour 30 ago. Um, which means that price is still a baby right now, still trying to figure out where it's going to go. But even with that, you always need to ask yourself the same questions. It doesn't matter what type of market we're in. I'm going to take a break real quick and really talk about this, right? If you are watching this and you're realizing that this is what you do and this is the type of trading mindset that you don't have yet, I already broke down the whole system step by step in the free private training. It is linked in the description and it is something that you should watch because often you can feel like the market is against you. Like, oh man, the market's just different now. The market is just doing something different. The market's just in a different place. Oh, the market has changed. The market has adjusted, and you can give yourself these certain excuses. But the biggest thing is that if you're actually trading with something that is actually what makes you money, it works regardless of the market that we're in. So whether the market is moving slow, it's moving fast, we have a bunch of news, we have nothing, we have a crash, we have a melt. It doesn't matter what's happening in the stock market. If you're trading with the right understanding, you are going to stay profitable. I want you to hear me when I say this. I wish I could yell this from the rooftops, but I don't think I need to yell. I think you're hearing me. If you have the right information, it doesn't matter. We're going to switch back to the 1 minute time frame just to watch more closely, right? But when you have the right information, it doesn't matter what doesn't matter what the market is doing. You will always capitalize because you're approaching it with long-term principles that work regardless of the market. See, if your trading strategy only works when the market is perfect, it's not an actual strategy. If your trading psychology only works when the market is, doing great and everybody's having great evaluations and paying amazing dividends and there's nothing going wrong. That is not a real strategy because it's not long term. What your strategy should have, right, in your approach to the market should have a way for you to know if you can make money in it or not. And that is how you know if it makes sense. That's how I knew my system made sense and why I started sharing it. Because it it's tested by time. So regardless of the month, of the year, of the week, if it's quad witching, if it's FOMC, if it's tons of economic news, if it's a ton of other types of fundamental news, or it's technical analysis, it doesn't matter. It keeps me profitable because it only uses the things that matter. And there's only one reason you make money, right? When you base your strategy off of things that actually don't matter, you get terrible results. But when you base your strategy off of the one single thing that makes you money, you will always be profitable. And what is the one thing that makes you money? You should know this. I said it a few times already. You only make money when the market moves. So if your strategy is not based on market movements and knowing real movement from just candle printing, that's that's the difference. That's where the profitability lies. So now it looks like we're about to break even. Almost. Now we're broken even. And now we're back under. So right now we're at the break even point, right? But we entered this trade. If we've been under it, we've been out of profit for the most part. Um, and so it's just to show you, like, there are some people who would have entered when I entered this. So like if you're entering in now to the video and you've missed a little bit of what I have said, basically I just randomly picked between buy and sell and I clicked buy. And some people would randomly click buy where I clicked buy and they'd still be holding this trade. And I'm trying to get you to understand that This is where a lot of people actually lose money. It's because you're trading when nothing exists. It's trading when nothing's going on just because candles are printing. So you also have to have a level of patience where you ask yourself, is the move already happening? Or am I trying to catch it? Or am I trying to get into it by chasing it? So here's the rule. This is the rule. If you're chasing, that means you often have a feeling of like, dang, I was late to that trade. You can always feel those things. Like, I often hear from my students who are in my community, oh, I was late. I feel like I'm so late to the trade. Or I feel like I'm so early. I feel like I'm so early. Okay, when you say late or early, that's not really what's happening, right? I want you to actually understand what's happening. You're not late. You're just chasing. So if you always have the tendency of saying, "Oh man, I was late to the trade," I might actually start to make notes on these videos, because this is such good information. Okay, so this is one of the things I'm going to write down, right? Number one, you only make, I think I'm going to start doing that going forward, making notes. You only make money when the market moves. So you must know the difference between candle printing, when it's just printing candles, or when it's actually move driven by actual movement. Number two is that when you say that you're late, what that really means is that you're chasing. So you need to fix the fact that you're chasing. But when you say you're early, that means you're guessing. So which one are you? Are you the person that is always guessing? Like, oh man, price should do this, price should do that. You know what I might do? I might change this instead of percentage and change it to profits. To where you can, oops, to where you can actually see the price. Let me see if it's in, see where it's at. If you haven't watched my trading view setup video, I give you I teach you from zero. I clear my entire chart and I literally show you how I set up my chart. So that video is already inside of my channel. It's actually, gonna give you the exact title of the video. So it's inside a playlist that's called Start Trading from Zero, Step by Step Roadmap. And the thumbnail says how to start trading. It is the video that says trading view setup revealed, free setting, free settings for profitability, for profitable trading. That's the video. So if you're like wondering, oh, like how do I set up my chart, or how do I walk through it in that video. What I'm currently looking for is how to change this so you can actually see a dollar amount, because that's much more useful. So again, ask yourself, which one are you? Are you often guessing in your trades, or are you the person who's often chasing? If you always say, oh, dang, I'm so early. Oh, dang, I'm so, like, I feel like I'm just always in it before it actually starts. You're a guesser. And you have to recognize that, because if you don't realize that you only, let me just put this in bold right here. Like, this needs to be in bold. Okay. Only, like, I wish I could scream this from the mountaintop. Nothing makes you money besides the market moving. So when you're trying to trade setups, or trying to trade breakouts, or try to trade retracements, or try to trade ranges, or try to trade support, resistance, supply, demand, try to trade candlestick patterns, or try to trade market structure, no, none of that actually is why the market's moving. So all of that is a false positive. All of it is false confirmation, which is why you can be in the right direction and still lose, right? But when you start trading, and with this one, when you own, like, when you're only trading when the market is actually moving, you make so much more profit. So, are you the guesser, or are you the person who is always chasing? This is the person that says, dang, as soon as I got in, it turned around. Right? So that would be the person that enters somewhere here, right? Number one, the market was not doing anything previously, so there was no reason to get into any sort of trade here. But let's just say, um, for calls, but let's just say, hey, you understand this is hitting a resistance point, and that's going to serve as an indicator of the market might start to move again, right? And so you're waiting for it to do a downturn. That is a person that knows money only comes when the market moves. But you are like, but it's going up. And it took a break and it's going up. And the person would just be in calls right here and just be so out of money, right? But the person who understands that you only make money when the market moves is the one that has the patience. So even if you're in the right direction and you're in calls when you're supposed to, and you are making money, you can still not be actually keeping most of your profits or still not be profitable even if you make money. I'm just saying, like, long term you can make money but you keep losing it. That's often because of your positioning. So you can ask yourself, like, like, I want you to understand, even if your entries are good and your exits are decent most of the time, you can still not be profitable because the strategy you have, you can't actually follow it because of your positioning. So when I say positioning, I mean your size, I mean your risk, I mean how much you're putting on each trade. Now, you can follow what anybody else says. You can follow their 10% rule, 20% rule, 2% rule, 1% rule. I've also given out um, educational purpose based advice, not financial advice. All of my all of my information is for educational purposes only. However, I've also said, hey, 1% rule, 2% rule, 10% rule. But that is not a rule that stands with time. It's not really a rule that can last across time and work long term. Why is that? Because you can't tell the market what it should move. Like, that is so arrogant. You're gonna tell the market that you're gonna risk a certain amount and it needs to give you a certain amount back. You can do that as much as you want, but it's not going to last a long time. A long time, right? Like along the span of time. Why? Because when you are trading, time is nothing you can't do anything about time. So if you're inside of a trade, you can try as much as you want to make a stock do what you want it to do. But that's exactly the moment where you lose money. The moment that you try to hold longer than you should. The moment that you don't let go of a trade when you're already in profit. The moment that you trade when there's nothing there. Those are the three moments where you lose money. Write those down. Those are the moments where you lose money, right? So I want you to understand one thing is that you only get to take a piece of the market. You actually don't get to choose what piece you get, but you can only get a piece. Okay? You cannot walk around thinking that you're going to get every single piece of the market whenever you feel like it, because that's just not how it works. You cannot call the top or the bottom of a trade, and you cannot trying to get these random dots off of here that I put here. Um, but you cannot call the top or bottom of a trade. You cannot decide that you want um a certain percentage. So if that doesn't work while you're in a trade, like if that concept doesn't work for the entire market, it can't work for your trades, period. This is what I'm saying clearly, simply. You cannot tell the market to move. You cannot tell the market to do what you want it to do. If you already know the market's going to move however it so pleases, why do you then think that you can dictate how much your trades gain if your trades are from the stock market? If you can't tell the stock market what to do, how can you tell your trades what to do? You cannot. You can only get a percentage of the market. You can't tell your trades what to do. So if you're sized too big and there's some sort of turbulence in the trade you were taking, it makes it very, very difficult for you to actually act on what you were supposed to be acting on. Let's go switch to the 5 minute and look at this now. Look how we've now established a nice support, not from these wicks. The wicks are important, but the base is our actual close and our actual open. So I like this. I'm gonna switch the color right quick. That's pretty thin. Let's up the size real quick. Cool. So as you can see, all these bases line up. One, actually here too. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and it's also so it's lined up 8 bases and respected by both support and resistance and wicks. So that's awesome. So we established a new support um here, and so overall, what really matters is you're in the right positioning as well. That's the point that I'm trying to get at point number 4, is that you can do everything right and be in the market when the market's moving, but if you're risking too much, you're still going to change your behavior, and then it's not going to matter your strategy. Your size changes how you think. You don't think it does, but it does. Your size, how much you put on a trade, changes whether you can stay in it or get out. Because if you're like, think about it this way, right? Point number 5, 10% of $100 is not equal to 10% down on $1,000. So if you're in a trade and you only risk $100 and you're down 10%, you're gonna feel like, oh, this ain't nothing. But if you only have $1,000 to your name and you're down 10%, you're gonna be like sweating. So it doesn't really matter, right? And we can't dictate that 10%. Like that's whatever the market did once we entered the market, right? So even if we change this back to here, right? We're up 0.11%. We couldn't have told the market that we want that type of percentage. That's just what it so happened to give us. It could have done something completely different, but this is just so happened what we were getting. But if your size is wrong, if you risk $1,000 when you only have $1,000, like you're not going to be able to actually trade when the market is moving. You're going to do a whole bunch of extra unnecessary stuff because you are changing how you think and how you behave because you risk too much money. So if you think, you can risk more than you can really afford to, or that's good for you mentally, and you think you're going to keep doing that and eventually adjust to it, it doesn't work that way. And you have to ask yourself, like, that's the thought that really starts the mistake. Because if you break a rule, if I tell you, hey, like, if you risk too much, then you actually just override all of your strategy. Like you're not even going to follow the strategy because now you're trying to save the money and not the actual moves. Once you do that, but you try to convince me that you're not doing that. I'm like, I'm telling you, you're going to change your behavior. But if you break that rule, you are done. Like for the day, you can't trade anymore. Like if you get into a spiral where you're risking too much money, you need to get out and you need to stay out of the market. Because if you would do something to risk your if you would do something to risk money that you put into the market, that means that you're not even in the right mindset. You're not even here to make money. You're not if you would risk more than you know you should You're gonna sit in that trade and watch it just go to zero. You're not in a mindset to be trading, so just get out at your loss or at your small profit or wherever you are, just get out and stay out of the market because that is like you can't fix mistakes with more trades. I'll write that down too. That's a really good point. You cannot fix mistakes with more trades. So what you'll try to do is you'll try to keep trading to try to get back what you lost. But I'm telling you that if you are in a mindset that would allow you to risk money just on a like no like a nothing type of trade, and you're willing to sit in it and let your money go down, then you're not in the mindset to be making money anyways. Because everything starts with the first one. You only make money when the market moves. So if you're not even entering based off that principle belief that you need to have, like the number one thing you need to have in your head over and over and over and over, right? If you're entering for no reason, that means this is not in your head, which means you're not in the right mindset to even make money. So, um, I don't see my point. Number six, there it goes. You cannot fix mistakes with more trades. You cannot trade more. You know, one of the first things I tell most of my students who I work with personally one on one, and if you want to learn how to work with me, you can watch the free private training, and there's more info after you watch that free video. But when I talk to them, I'm like most of the time telling you to just relax and don't trade anymore. You know, like you might trade 20 days a month. This like every trading day of the month, 20 trading days every month. So you might trade 20 days and lose. And then you start working with me and I tell you to take 2 days off every week and you're trading way less. So now you're trading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're trading 12 days instead of 20 days and you're making more money. Why? Because you actually don't make more money from more trades. You make more money from doing this first one. You make money when the market moves. And sometimes sitting out is how you get money and how you keep money. So if you're watching this video and you're realizing this is exactly what you have been doing to yourself and sabotaging your trades, I already broke all of this down in the free private training step by step, like broke down the entire system. It's free to watch and it's linked in the description box. So this is usually where people mess up is when price starts to get to a previous high. Because right now you've been watching for a while, you've been sitting in it for probably an hour, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored, and now you just want to take a trade. But that is not actually how you want to go about it. You want to formulate yourself back to point number one, which is what is price doing right now? Nothing else matters. Like nothing else is more significant than what the market is doing right now. And especially because now our 1 minute time frame has found a new support. Obviously, that's a support I found at a higher time frame, but or I found out a 5 minute time frame. But obviously, it formed on the 1 minute, so it's still here. And um, we found that here. But when we look at our 1 day chart, we're still at all time highs. 45 minute. It's not show like there's nothing going on. The only big drama we had was that first big candle. Now we've had two medium-sized candles that are trading in like what is this 676 to 73. That's a $3 range, which is large for QQQ. Normally like a $1 and a half range is like avoid that, right? But a $3 range is pretty decent, and it's because we've had these larger candles. In between them, we've literally not done a lot. We haven't really done anything. So, can you definitively say right now on the 1 minute, like right now, if we look at the chart, like what's going on? Is it moving up? Is it moving down? Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? Or is nothing happening? You know, because if nothing is happening, that is where most people are losing money because you think something's happening just because candles are printing, and that's not how it works. Just because candles are printing does not mean that there's actually a trade. And this is not something that I can speak about through theory. This is not something I read in a book. This is not something that I watched 2 YouTube videos on and came and start talking. This is a actual lived experience where you have to understand you only make money when the market moves. But then the real question is, what do you mean by movement? What do you mean by moves? What do you mean? What do you mean? What actually means the market's moving? The real question is, what is real movement? What's the difference between real movement and candles just printing? And that's a distinction most day traders do not have, because you think that the market printing candles is the market moving. You just enter whenever. Literally will enter a trade when the market is inside of a range. Literally will enter a trade when market is not showing any strain. Also, if you haven't watched my candlestick strength video, that's also in the same playlist as the other video I mentioned. It's called Trade Smarter, Read Candlestick Strength, and Catch Momentum Early. From that video, that's going to show you how to read candlestick strength, because a lot of the problem is that you actually never learned how to read candlestick strength properly. It's only a 12-minute video. It's worth the watch because that video breaks down how pressure actually builds up in the market. And right now, our current candle looks like it's red on the 1 minute, but then it just closed green. Did you see that? Now our candle is now red again, but nothing is truly happening. So when you see a candle, like one of my main red flags, right? I actually have a red flags video. It's not about candles. It's about red flags that you're gonna blow your account. It's it's literally called that. It's called 10 signs you're about to blow your account. It's the thumbnail says red flags. In that video, I talk about like all the things that you may actually blow your account. But more importantly, I was just gonna say one of the biggest red flags I have is that when a trade is, or like when I'm looking for a trade and the candlestick is red, then it's green, like same candlestick, it's red, then it's green, it's red, then it's green, red, then it's green. What does that tell me? Buyers are not in demand. I mean, are not in the running, and buyers are not in the running, and sellers are not in the running. It tells me neither one of the two know what they're doing. So what does that mean for me? That means that the market ain't moving. So if you can't tell the difference between buyers and sellers and which one is actually in the winning position, that means that there is no winning position. That means that there is literally no winning position. And you need to be able to understand that first and foremost. So I want you to take the next 30 seconds and ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question, what is price doing right now? Is it real movement? Is it fake movement? Or what is it actually doing? So the problem is not that, and I hope that you said, moving fast, and now we're reaching back up to this resistance. I think I'm actually gonna mark it now. I'm gonna press this button at the side and just add a horizontal line here, right? Because this is serving as a resistance that we may or may not be breaking through right now. Okay, perfect. However, it's not about 100%. Is it something subjective all the time? See, when I say, is the market moving? You might be like, yes, it's moving. Yes, it's moving. One strong candle does not mean it's moving. Number two, just because it's moving doesn't mean it's actually tradable. If you look at your all-time highs, or you look at, I mean, not your all-time highs, yeah, because all-time high is ATH. I'm talking about ATR, your average true range. If you look at your average true range for whatever ticker you're on, whatever stock or equity you're trading, is it actually a tradable range? That's how you can trade and still lose, even if you're in the right direction, because your average true range is actually not what it's supposed to, you're actually not trading within its average true range. And, it's about, if it's not in those a few definitive states of movement, that means nothing. Okay? Even if it's printing candles, if you can't definitively say, speed and direction of the chart, what is it doing right now? It's tradable. Like, because you can literally say, oh, I know it's doing this direction at this speed. But guess what? If it's not tradable, it's not tradable. And you don't get to make money off of things that are not tradable. You don't get to choose what you make money on. Go back to point number 4. You only get a percent of the market. So if you're so dire to make money, you're going to try to take anything, and it's really going to bite you after you keep trying to do that. So right now, let's actually change this back to a dollar amount. I'm just flipping back and forth between them because it's good to look at both. Here, right, $1.73. And so this is actually full shares, but the reason why I use the buy sell buttons is because it still shows the percentage of movement or price per share that's changing. So since we entered, price has risen $1.70. Okay, that's what it's telling us, or $1.66, $1.59, right? And as we move closer back to where we entered, which is this blue line, move closer to where we entered, it's actually going to um, go back down, right? Obviously. So you need to be able to ask yourself those questions, because this is where most people literally lose money. Like, they will see something and then call it movement when it's not, and still take a trade. And then also, like, let's be honest, it's a lot harder at all-time highs because there is no support and resistance, really. There is no movement. There is no real previous track record of what price likes to do at those prices. So it's important that you take that with caution as well. Because at the end of the day, this was a resistance here. 3 point resistance, 1, 2, 3, with a strong downturn and a recovery back to the same resistance within the same day. Double bottom recovery to the same resistance point. But does that mean this is going to turn into a support? No. Doesn't mean it's going to break out. No. Doesn't mean it's going to turn to a resistance. No. Those are not things you can actually control, and they're not things you should really worry about when it comes to trading, because you will only know hindsight, right? If your strategy is based off the fact that you have to know something hindsight, that's impossible. Like if your strategy is based off something that has not happened yet, that is impossible. It's literally impossible to consistently make money on that. And one of the biggest things I see in my community with my students who are in there and people that I work with individually is that you often try to make something happen that's not happening, and then you get upset at the result when the market literally, if you would just be there and know that you only make money when the market moves and you just wait for that moment, then you will be able to take so much money, more money off the table because you already know the part that makes you money. So you have to, that's really what patient is. When people say, oh, be patient, be patient, be patient, it's like one word. What they really mean to say is you only make money when the market is moving. So if you wait for the movement and you don't chase and you don't guess, then you actually can take home the profit. So I want you to notice how most of this video was me just waiting. Why? Because most of the market is not real movement. It's not real. So if you try to trade 20 days out of the trading month, you're probably not ever going to be profitable. Listen to me. I'm not trying to pray your downfall, but if you try to trade all 20 days, you're probably not going to end profitable because most of the movement is not profit based. Most of it's not tradable. I like to say Mark for short. I say that all the time. So I'm going to say Mark. So most of the market is not tradable. So when people say, oh, I trade every single day, you do whatever you want. That don't have literally has nothing to do with me. Legit has nothing to do with me. However, the majority of the market is not real movement. So you can extract things out, but be wary of how much you give back to the market because you're trying to take stuff out. You give more back, more profits back when you're trying to take money out. That's not supposed to be taken out because it's not tradable. So this is the part that nobody really wants to do. Notice how most of this video was just waitings because most of the market is not really tradable. Right? Most of it is just candle printing. It's not actual movement that you can make money from. And that is the part that, again, nobody wants to do, but it's the part that keeps your money, especially when you're an experienced trader and you already know how to make money. You've already made money, which is why you're still pursuing it because you know it can work. But these are the small, literal systems that will help you to get there. Go watch the free private training because if you don't trade when nothing's happening and then you stop trading when you're done, you're better than most traders already. If you want the full system breakdown on this, go watch the free private training. It is linked in the description box, but also like of all my videos, also the homepage of my channel, but also pinned in the majority of the comments, or at least it is a comment on most of my videos. And when you watch these execution in real time, that's actually when it starts to click. You can find this video. This is live, but you can find this video inside of the playlist on my channel. Currently, the playlist is called Execution Loop Live. This video is already within it, and there's some already some videos there.